and I'm gonna scream. Okay, it's doing something.
Here we go. Yep.
There we go. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for joining us for Facebook conversations. That's good too. Facebook conversation, budget conversation. As long as we're talking, it's a conversation. I'm very humbled and honored and excited about today's conversation. In fact, when I got all dressed up, you think I'm going to the Oscars or something. And it's because I have this great panel this afternoon. What is exciting is that I'm talking to union leaders. These are the individuals that are leading organizations with people that are building our cities with our biggest asset, our people. And so I'm excited to chat with them about what they're doing, what we need to do, and all sort of things. So I have with me, and I'm gonna have them introduce themselves actually because I don't think I'll do them justice. We're still waiting for one more. But thank you guys for being here. I know you're all super busy with family and things to do. So the fact that you're able to make the time to join, I really do appreciate it. So the format is going to be that we'll chat for some time, and then we have people that are watching on Facebook. They will have the opportunity to send you comments and questions that we can interact with them. Like I always tell the people that join is that it's not just Facebook where we're reaching people with this conversation. Following the Facebook conversation, I will send it to Metro, and Metro will put it on the Metro YouTube channel, so people have the opportunity to watch it on Facebook and also on the Metro Facebook YouTube channel. Other medium or media is that this is also turned into a blog that folks can read later on my website, zulfatsuara.com. And I also transcribe it into a newsletter that is sent out to our Nigerians community. So whether it's reading it online, reading it in newsletter, watching it, we're reaching a lot of people. And that's what we want to do to make sure that we have our citizens participating in the budget process. So thank you again, guys. It's good to see you all. And I just found out that Paula and I are both from Bolivar. So we're gonna have that Bolivar reunion and chat later. B-Town in the house. Very excited. And my good friend Ethan and Tamika, always good to see you guys. So I'm going to and it doesn't matter who wants to go first. I want you all to introduce yourself and to briefly tell me about the unions that you represent.
I'll go first. I am Dr. Paula Pendergrass, and I am the current president of the Metro Nashville Education Association. And within our union, we try to make sure that teachers' working conditions are in a position where they are thriving, because we understand that our students' learning condition, well, our teachers' working conditions are our students' learning conditions. So we work to make sure that our teachers have everything they need in order to thrive in their working conditions.
Thank you, Dr. Pendergrass. Nice to have you.
I guess I can go next. Hello, everyone. My name is Tamika White. I serve as the political director for SEIU Local 205. SEIU Local 205 is Service Employees International Union, and we are, of course, a statewide organization. However, here in Nashville, SEIU Local 205 represents public sector workers and private sector workers, and all of Metro employees. And for those who need it broke down just a little bit more, that's Metro Action Commission, Nashville Electric Service, MDHA, support staff with inside schools, all of Metro General Government, which I think I've already mentioned. And our private sector consists of Meharry Medical College and Lincoln College. And I'll kick it over to Ethan.
All right, Ethan, you're muted. Ethan.
I think he's frozen.
It's frozen. Wow. See, this is the thing with technology. Can do without it, what is that phrase again? Can live with it, can live without it.
That's
Yeah,
right.
he said he's having
Can you
some
hear me
tech
now? Can you hear me
problems.
now?
Yes.
We can.
I can hear you.
Sorry about that.
That's
Had a
fine.
little snap.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Ethan Link, and I represent the service or the LIUNA, the Laborers International Union of North America, and we represent construction workers all across Middle and West Tennessee. We also represent about 600 to 700 service employees at Vanderbilt University. That includes folks who do dining service, custodial, who do the maintenance work and keep the power plant running, and the folks who keep the grounds there on campus. And so we are proud to have a diverse and multi-dimensional membership. And we, spend a lot of time trying to make sure that the construction industry is fair for everybody and treats workers with dignity. And we also fight for better living conditions for our Vanderbilt members who are affected by the increase in housing cost and transportation costs like everybody else. So that's a nutshell what we do.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you all for all that you do. And I was listening to Tamika, I'm thinking as a Metro employee and a Meharry employee, you got me on both fronts. Well,
I
thank you.
got you covered.
You got me covered. You got me covered. What would we do without unions? Well, I wanted to, before we get into the budget conversation and what the needs are for this year, I wanted you all to take a minute and just share with us what are some of the wins this year. You know, for people that are not union members, and I think we have a lot of union members. What is the big deal? Why is the union important, and what are some of the wins, especially this year? Any wins that you want people to be able to know about, so that when you're talking about why it's important to support our unions, what that will means to people. And we can go in the same order, Paula, Tamika, and then Ethan.
Okay. So yes, I'll go, representing certificated educators and really anyone within Metro public schools that get a paycheck. We represent, everyone. But unions are important because, as educators are doing their day-to-day work, it is really difficult for them to address some of the issues that come across their way individually. We're more powerful collectively together and to help resolve the issues that they are facing. And some of the things that, come to our attention are, planning time. We know that planning time is allocated by state law, but sometimes when there's a shortage of educators, planning time can unintentionally get taken away. So we as a union make sure that teachers are getting their planning time, because they cannot plan their instruction, unless they're given time to do that during the day. And if they're not given that time during the day, they end up taking that home, which really impedes on the time that they are supposed to be spending with their family. So being a part of the union, we're able to protect that planning time. Also, educators are given time, certain leaves that they can take. They can take religious leave, they can take sick days, they have personal days. And as a union, sometimes we get calls about those days not being approved. And when that happens, we address them, as they come in. I will say for the most part, our MNPS colleagues do a really good job in making sure educators do have their time. But there are times when we have to step in and say, okay, this educator has requested religious leave or sick day. Why is it being denied? So we make sure that educators are able to use the days that are allotted to them. And what we find is when they're not being able to do that, it interferes with their ability to take care of themselves, because we want to make sure that our educators are taking care of their mental health. Just like we want our students to take care of their mental health, parents, we want to make sure that educators are doing the same. And sometimes they need those leave days to do that. Some of the other things that we have been working on with our educator is that we recognize that there are going to be times when they have to work outside of their contracted hours. And when they are working outside that 7.5 hours, we want to make sure that they're paid for that they're getting their daily rate of pay. Just show our appreciation for the time that they're given within MNPS.
You know what I love about what you kept saying is that you keep using the word educators. And I thought that's very important, not just teachers, because the people educating our kids are not just the certified teachers, they were paraprofessionals. Everybody involved in the school systems actually add to the quality of the education of our children. I think that that's very an important distinction to make, so that looking at it holistically on who is educating our kids, not just in the classroom, around the classroom, in the school. I thought that was very good. So thanks to MNEA for taking care of the people that are educating our children. So Mr. Mika.
Yes, ma'am.
So you're gonna get me more money from Metro Mary? You say you're looking out for me. Let's start there.
I will do my best. As you know, that is definitely a challenge where we have to figure out what is the best option and what's the best way and where's the money going to come from, right? So some of the victories that we've had over the last year, which, you know, I'm advocating for workers to have better pay and better working conditions at all times. That is what our union consists of. We won pay increases for employees across all of our chapters, and even including in Chattanooga and Oak Ridge. We won last year the biggest cost of living adjustment increase for workers. That COLA was very big last year, and it actually was my first budget season, so I was very, very excited to achieve the 6% cost of living increase for all eligible employees here in Nashville. And I don't call it a win, but we definitely gained some traction as we're repealing the grocery tax. We weren't successful at the state level, but as you know, when we save all Tennesseans money, that puts more money in workers' pockets. So we're going to continue to bring that legislation back until we are successful. Another win, we beat Governor Lee and stopped the voucher bill. We were able to make sure that it wasn't expanded across the state. You know, we do have vouchers in some parts of Tennessee, which is Metro Nashville, Shelby County, down in Chattanooga. I think Knoxville was knocked off the list, but we were able to make sure that that bill was not expanded. So that is another win, but making sure that we are protecting our workers and our children. Because, you know, I represent support staff inside school. So our parapros are a significant piece inside our children's lives and their everyday operations when our teachers aren't there as well. So just making sure that we do what is necessary. Another win, which has nothing to do with Metro Nashville, but Methodist Medical Center received one of the largest pay raises that they've had in years. So just making sure we're organizing to make sure we keep people abreast of what they should be paid. So I'll kick it over to Ethan.
And the thing about that is what I love about the union and the collective bargaining piece of it is that oftentimes individuals don't know how to represent themselves, and they may not even know how to start the conversation about races or what they're worth. And so being able to have an organization that does that for everyone, I think it's great. So thank you for what you do. Mr. Ling.
Yes, ma'am. We had some great wins in the construction world and broader over the last year. And the two that I would really hold up, the number one thing is we had the largest, most successful MC3 class, Music City Construction Careers class, graduated earlier this year. And we had a wonderful ceremony over at the Sheet Metal Hall, and Mayor O'Connell spoke, and we had so many folks there. And Tamika actually sits on the board for MC3. And so hats off to her leadership of that program. It is a real success story. And also we've got MC3 now active in the Maplewood High School,
Wow.
which is a pretty incredible feat. And that we're really connecting everybody's future, whether you're coming home, whether you're a person who's graduating from college or from high school, or whether you've you're underemployed and you want to try something new. The MC3 is growing, and so it's worth saying that in the budget, in the Metro budget, there is funding for MC3, which is an exciting dimension. I understand that support it means that the city is invested in programs that work, and it's not an inexpensive program because it's very intensive. It takes lots of classroom time. The just screening process to pick the right applicants takes a long time that Tamika has spent a lot of time on. So it's a really great program, but it's a deeply organized program, which means it does cost money, and so the city support's a big deal on that. And I'll pass it over to Tamika to finish that out.
I was gonna piggyback off of you. Yes, that process, those interviews, that program is changing lives. My son is a graduate of MC3. He was able to gain a lot of skills, a lot of things that he did not know, things that they don't teach inside our, curriculum-based school programs. But and then even coming out of MC3 and going on to community college, he was able to intern at LIUNA with Ethan and his staff, and learned a lot about elections and office and administrative work and graphic design. And he learned a lot over there. So we're very grateful for LIUNA and MC3. Last week, I sat on 20 interviews.
Wow.
We're getting ready to accept 47 people into our summer cohort, and 7 of them are women. And we are intentional about bringing more women into the trade. So they will be accepted into the program. So there'll be 3 weeks in the pre-apprentice program. Maplewood just graduated their first cohort. So those boys are getting excited and ready to go on to, I think a few of them were unsure, but the rest are ready to go. 2 are going on to college because they received full ride scholarships to the universities that they selected. But they loved MC3, and they said that they would keep us in their back pocket in case it's needed, if they want to come do summer work. But I raised my hand because I do have some more wins that I completely forgot about. 205 has its first female Black president, Jessica Stewart. As well as this week when we were in convention, Jessica was elected to our national executive board as well.
Woo, woo, woo.
And SEIU elected its first Black president to the international, April Verrett.
Wow. Awesome.
So we got some big wins.
Congratulations. Yeah, that's incredible. And I do want to point out, as you're talking about MC3, because I think it's good for people that don't know what it is. Ethan, can you just say what it is, like in a sentence? Because you kept saying MC3.
Yes,
What
yes.
is MC3?
It's the Music City Construction Careers Program, and that is a pre-apprenticeship, or what
That's
we call
a math there. So
Yeah. MC3, exactly.
Ah.
And so it's a program that is a pre-apprenticeship program. It gets you kind of a boot camp for construction. It takes folks who don't have any background in construction, really, who are underemployed or need a new start, or making their first start in the case of these kids coming out of Maplewood. And it's something where, if you didn't grow up around the trades, you wouldn't know what a good opportunity it is. But MC3 helps to give people the basic exposure to construction they need to determine if it's for them, if they can do it, and if they want to go with a particular trade. And so we do a graduation that's kind of like signing day, where folks announce which trade they're going to go to, and there's a lot of there's some friendly rivalries among us about for who's going to get which graduate. So it's fun, and it's a great program, and it's growing every year. It was actually acknowledged as it had a big award given to it at the National Building Trades Legislative Conference that supports the curriculum for all of these apprenticeship readiness programs around the country. Nashville's was recognized as the exceptional one last year.
Wow, wow.
And
Thank you.
We'll have to get you on the invite list to our next graduation, Zulfat.
Definitely. I mean, you're talking about when we're talking about cost of living, we'll get to the budget, which is the biggest part in a minute. But I do think that when we're talking about being able to afford things, being able to have jobs in post-COVID where people lost their job, careers that are changing, to be able to have something that is actually helping people learn a new skill and to make money, I think it's amazing. And one thing that Tamika said that I thought was very interesting, and I hope the people that are watching and I can articulate this word when I do the newsletter, is that I heard there were people going to college that actually did the MC3 program, which means that it doesn't mean that you're doing it, that's the end of it. You have the opportunity to learn skills that you can use for life. You can continue in that trade, but you can also decide, okay, I want to do something else. But that's an education and a skill that you got now that you will have for life. So I think it's incredible. I want to thank you all for doing that. I do want to shout out Layuna too, for your contract on the East Bank. I think that the work that you did on that and making sure that we put in Nashvilleian first, putting workers first, I think that's very commendable. So I will consider that a win. And what we're talking about wins, while I'm talking about my union organization, I know there are other organizations that are non-union, Stand Up, NOAA and others that were also instrumental in making sure that we have childcare with that development. So again, this is all working together, government, organization, non-for-profit, for-profit, working to make our city better. So thank you all so much. Now that I've talked about all that you're doing, I hope I did not set myself up because how do I make sure that we're appreciating you enough for all that you're doing for Nashville? So let's talk about the budget, the FY25 budget. You've all seen the budget by the mayor. You've heard the state of Metro address. I hope you're all happy with it. What's your thought on it? What are your members saying? And let me just say that the chair, Council Member-At-Large, has been holding budget hearings across the city as well. And on June 4th, at our next council meeting, there will be public hearing where you and your members also have the opportunity to come and give your opinion on the budget. But I wanted to always use this medium for people that don't watch Metro Council meeting, for people that don't come to our meetings, for us to be able to reach as many people as possible. So I'm going to start again, Ms. Paula, Tamika, and then Ethan. What is your take? What is your perspective on the FY25 budget?
So one of the things that our UNA colleagues have communicated is that they wanted a respectful compensation for this coming up year. And the reason why they were asking for a respectful compensation is because they understand that their insurance was going to go up 12%. And knowing that their insurance was going to go up 12%, they wanted a cost of living increase that would make it feel like their income was increasing and that they could live comfortably in Nashville. And of course, we wanted to make sure that, we're working with our school board members, Dr. Battle, and even you, Councilman Zulfat, and your colleagues to make sure that that is accomplished. I will say that the 3.5% that was proposed was a number that was lower than what our MEA colleagues were anticipating. Because one, they were thinking about the 2% that they did not get last year. And so to hear 3.5, it wasn't a number that they were excited about. And so one of the things that we are trying to make sure that we do going forward is, to stay involved in the conversation, in the process, to make sure that their needs and their concerns are being addressed. And another thing I wanted to point out as well, when we think about the culture and climate in the schools, we want to make sure that when there are issues within the school, that the compensation aligns with that. And let me give you an example. When our colleagues hear, a flat budget, to them that they hear, oh, a budget that's not going to increase. And our educators, a lot of times, when they leave, they're not necessarily leaving because of the pay, but it could be some culture and climate things going on as well. And I often say, you either pay educators well, and they deal with the culture and climate issues that come, or you're going to treat them like the king and the queen they are and pay them less. But you can't have both going on at the same time. And so as we think about this being a year where the budget is flat, we do have to make sure that we are working with our MNPS colleagues to make sure that things that are not related to the budget are being resolved and taken care of, and making sure that our educators have what they need, because they're willing to deal with the flat budget as long as we are treating them with respect and kindness and validating the work that they do every single day.
That is very important. That is, when you're happy where you're working, when you love the environment that you are at, I mean, your input is better, you give more. And being happy does not, money is a big part of it, but it's not all of it. And so having the respect and the treatment, I think, is very important. And so I'll be more than happy to stress this, in that, even if we don't increase the pay, or we increase the pay, whether we increase it or not, I think that to be able to value and respect our employees, I think it's a major thing. So thank you for pointing that out for us.
And we have, and I want to point out too, when I think about, some of the wins within MEA, and I think about the fact that we just was able to have enough votes to have a new contract. And that's a big win. But I also think about the small wins that kind of go untold. When I'm having a conversation with that educator who may not be certificated, who is just starting their career, and they call and they're like, Dr. Pendergrass, I'm going to be non-renewed. What can I do? And working through that process, and then to be able to retain that person, those are small wins that go unnoticed, but they're big. Because in the end, we're showing that we can retain our early educators when they're coming in, and giving them what they need in order to thrive, because this work is hard and it's getting harder. And so those are a lot of small wins that kind of, like I said, they go untold, but they become big, especially when we can, help that educator stay for 30 years.
And let me read this. This was a comment that just came on Facebook. Julie, sorry if I mispronounce your name, Trudell, says, I work at Antioch I, and it's so important to support our paraprofessionals and support staff, since schools couldn't function without them. And so that's, again, we're all saying the same thing, that we support, we respect, we take care of the people that are making our city tribe. So thank you for those. I'm noting them and making my note here.
And I want to give a big shout out to Julie Trudell, who just called in, because she is the co-chair of our advocacy committee, and she's doing great work. She's a huge advocate, over there at Antioch High School, doing great things.
Yes. And let me say, before we move on, that I had the budget conversation with MNPS last week, And one of the things that you'll see when you read my blog is shouting out all the accomplishments that MNPS had last year, being named one of 2 districts in the entire country to be top in math and English, being a District 5 district and all of that. That is because of the effort of everybody, our teachers, our paraprofessionals, the front office, the district, everybody, the school board. And so thank you all so much for all that you do for our children. And so thank you to our MNEA members as well for the support that you give to the school. All of that shows in that way. So thank you. Mr. Mika.
Yes, ma'am. So, I'm a little conflicted, and I'm conflicted because I was team Freddie O'Connell. We were very supportive of Mayor O'Connell during his election, and 3.5 is not enough.
Mm.
And when you talk about inflation and where we are economically and the direction that we are going, we don't want to go backwards, right? So coming in last year, receiving a 6% cost of living increase, and cost of living continues to move up. Why would we give employees anything less? Right? So I understand that this is a tight year. We have had this conversation for the last 5 weeks. It is a year that is at the end of the fiscal cycle. So the money has dwindled down, right? And everybody keeps saying it's a flat year. It's a flat year. Revenues are flat. Revenues are flat. But you can't tell that to my city workers that see 12 cranes around town in one area. Then they go over here on the other side of the bridge and there are 4 more cranes. And things are happening in Nashville and things are growing in Nashville. And I went to the budget meeting this morning out at Southeast Community Center, and one of the council members was saying, well, those things haven't come online yet. They haven't come online yet. And I'm like, you can't tell that to my workers when we just voted to give the Titans millions of dollars. We can't. You were a yes vote, sir. So we can't tell my workers that. It's hard to explain that revenue is flat when they know what we spend our money on. They are paying attention, right? So we showed up in February and we had to name a number, and we thought strategically that 5% would keep us from losing money. So CPI last year was 4.1, and we want to make sure that we are not continuing to chase inflation, right? So we at least thought that the mayor's budget would align with the civil service recommendation, which was 4. And that was not what that is not what happened. So without my members, the workers who keep this city running, we would be up the creek without a paddle. The lights wouldn't be on, the water wouldn't be working, the kids wouldn't get fed at school. So it's a lot, and we're expecting our members to show up. We're expecting our workers to show up every day and perform those jobs. But if we take 3.5%, they're losing money. We have to continue to be competitive, or we're going to continue to lose workers to other counties where they are being paid what they feel they deserve. We have people who have worked for MNPS as parapros, as nutrition staff for 20 and 30 years. And one of our I want to call her a soldier because she always shows up on the front line, Miss Donna Clay. She was recently displaced and had to move to Laverne. So now she has to travel 38 minutes to get to work when she was 7 minutes from her school.
Wow.
So we just got to make sure that we are being cautious and making sure that we want to continue to show our people in the city that we respect you, we value you, and we want to continue to pay you what you are worth. Because when employees come on to a job and they in HR and they sign their documentation, they sign a documentation that they show you this chart, and the chart shows you're coming in at step one, you have this amount of education and you are going to get paid this. If you move to this step, you're going to get this much money, and it keeps continue to grow. But what happens when those years when steps are frozen? We have employees that have been here for 10 years that are behind because there were years where steps were frozen, but it is actually a part of their contract. We didn't do them any justice. But as money continues to come into the city, we have to make sure that we are prioritizing. I watched that budget presentation from the mayor's office, and they were like, oh, what was the language he used? We're tightening up our finances. We're tightening up our finances, but we throw millions to billionaires who don't need money, right? We are a business-friendly city. There are so many people who don't pay taxes, but I'm taxed at the highest rate. Our members are taxed at the highest rate. We got to make it make sense, right?
Lottie said, where is the throwing of money so I can make sure that I'm there and I can catch it?
I will be right there with you. Tell me like,
Because
okay,
if they're throwing it, let's go. On a serious note, one of the things that I've always said, even when I ran, is that we cannot have increased cost of living and stagnant wages. The way things are going, people have to be able to meet that, to be able to continue to live here. And I think it's very critical for us to do that. I do believe that Mayor O'Connor did try in this budget. I've been doing this for some time since I joined, and I look at that budget book like so many times this year. I've never seen it this dry, in the sense that there are places that I can typically look at and find money that I don't see. And so when the mayor did said that it's a tight budget, but he wants to prioritize employee, I think he really meant that. And so with the 3.5 and the $20 and the step, I think he really tried that. But again, that's the mayor's budget. Is now in the hands of the council, and the budget chair and us, for us to be able to put our perspective into it as well. So if I can ask you, Mr. Mika, so inflation is 4.1. The civil service recommended for the mayor is at 3.4. What do you think will be a good percentage for the COLA for the people that you represent?
So our ask for this budget fiscal year is 5%. That is the number that we said in the February meeting when we had the kind of like the pre-budget conversation. 5% was our number. We had plenty of meetings and we talked about what it would look like if we did not get the 5%. And I'm sorry for the clacking. My dog is tap dancing around the kitchen. What did that look like for us if we did not meet the 5%? But we do know that we have to have something for our members, right? So whether that was we were met with the civil service recommendation, which we said if that is the route that Mayor O'Connor chose to go, then we would meet him in the middle and we would be able to explain that to our members. Hey, this is a tight year. Mayor O'Connor looked out for us and met the civil service recommendation at the 4%, and we could have gave him a pass. Now that the budget is no longer in his hands and it's in the hands of the council, and that looks like Budget Chair Porterfield putting together a substitute budget. Hopefully workers will be prioritized if the money is there. We tossed back and forth. If we're 4%, what else does that look like? Could we get more paid days for our support staff in MNPS, which is a few $1 million? if that wasn't an option, what does it look like next year? So how do we look forward knowing that this is a tight year, knowing that there is absolutely little to no money to work with? All of the nonprofits have been cut out of the budget. We're trying to figure out how to get the little line items that were outlined for them in the budget. I've looked at it. I've talked to tons of people about it and I'm like, it's somewhere. Where do you normally find the money? So
Yeah.
If if council can get us to 4%, that is something that we could work with, that meets right along CPI, and we won't feel like they're losing money. But if we are stuck at 3.5, they're actually gonna take home less money.
Because the insurance
insurance
below
is
scheduled
to
below
go up.
the inflation below the inflation rate. Okay. All right, I'm taking note as you're talking as well, and I do appreciate your passion. Jokes aside, I respect it, and I do appreciate it. And I do want to say that I'm not supposed to be partial, but I will say that this council, last council, and I do believe this council also do prioritize employees. I know that in all the years that I've been on, almost every year we've been able to do something for the employees. I remember increasing the time for the temporary workers last year. Actually, some of that came after my budget conversation, and that was able to make into the wish list. And so we do, because we hear you, and you said it well. If the employees are not taken care of, if they're not happy, the city will shut down. And then there'll be nothing for everybody. But we do.
And I do have one more thing to add. They talked about the $20 an hour for Metro employees. That does not include schools. So that's going to create another problem. So we got to make sure that when we are talking across the board, that we are being very inclusive about what we're doing.
All righty. Yes, I did. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So you okay? I got you. I'm writing them down. I'm writing them down. We're gonna go shake it all down. But I do want to be realistic. Same as what Chair Porterfield said. We appreciate. We want to do the right. We're gonna shake it all down and break the piggy bank, to see what we can find. But I want to realistically let you know that this year is a lot tougher than it was last year, looking at the book. But it would not be because we don't respect, it would not be because we don't value, it would not be because we don't support. But do know that we will do all that we can. I think that that's very important for our employees to know. So, but I do have it down. The $20 for employee for MMPS at a minimum 4% COLA is what I'm hearing.
And
Mr. Lee.
I just want to say that I do appreciate you, and I know the work that you do with these numbers is very important, and it's not like you guys are not trying. Like I have tried to change the culture of my members where they're showing up and being upset with you guys, when I know that since I have been in this position where we can get more things with honey than we do with poop. So let's make sure that we are being respectful, and and when people are trying their best, like last year, council showed up. Like, so if give them an opportunity to do what they say they're going to do.
Well, thank you. And we do understand too. I mean, look, we're all frustrated if we cannot pay our bills. We're all frustrated when we cannot make ends meet, and we're working 24/7. So we have to give each other grace. I get where the employees are coming from, and so it's very understandable. And so what I can say is that we will do all that we can. We will do all that we can. Mr. Link, I already gave Mr. Mika all the promises, so there's nothing left.
None left for me. There's nothing left for me. Oh, not a problem. Well,
he knows I'll share with him.
That's right. We are, in the building trades. I'll speak a little more broadly than Liuna. I'll speak a little bit as an observer and as a participant in the Nashville building trades. we've been really pleased with Mayor O'Connell's commitment to funding infrastructure and actually, pursuing, a smart growth strategy for the city, because we know that we've been building up for a long time now, and there's a lot of infrastructure work underground and on and on that we need to do. In particular, we're excited about the way that the East Bank has come together and how all of the folks there in Metro were so supportive when we did reach a private MOU with Fallon Group and to determine really high road contracting methods that are going to give contractors who do the right things, who invest in apprenticeship and healthcare and safety, that are going to give them credit for what they do right and are going to disincentivize folks from cutting corners. And so by creating that space and that example of how to do construction right in a major piece of infrastructure, it is a big deal, because Metro isn't just one of the largest employers in the county. It's also the largest purchaser of construction services in the county. And so what Metro does with its construction dollars isn't just about what it's doing directly. It's about the indirect market effect that has across the board on infrastructure and heavy civil construction. So big hats off to the administration and the council for your continued support of infrastructure and focus on that. Towards that end, I did want to mention the Build It Right bill that Councilor Suara is a sponsor of. This is a really important piece of legislation. And the reason I mentioned it in the budget is because it does have a very small, as it goes, fiscal note attached to it. But it's a really big deal, because Metro Nashville has seen some of the low road practices that we've found commonly in the commercial space start to creep into public jobs. And that's just not something that we can tolerate. When you're using your tax money, it should not be used to exploit or put people in harm's way. And so we're taking an approach that if folks are willing to do public work as contractors for the Metro government, then they should be willing to have their site inspected for safety and have their workers, have access to recourse if they weren't paid correctly. And so with the leadership of Council Lady Sepulveda and 26, I believe now, other sponsors, we have a bill that would create a new division of contract compliance that would have an executive director, and I believe it would start out with 2 or maybe one inspector with the goal of having a fully staffed group of inspectors at about 4. And that would give Metro the capacity to take a check-in on the jobs that it's doing, making sure that they're safe. And if they're not safe, Metro doesn't have regulatory authority over some of those buckets of conditions, but they do have the ability to send those findings to the proper authority so that they can be handled if necessary, or they can remediate, the issue through negotiations with a contractor. There's lots of ways Metro can do this. And it's not just about protecting workers, although it is most definitely that. It's also about protecting Metro's own self-interest. Because when we have job sites where folks could be misclassified as independent contractors, aren't getting paid overtime, aren't having their wages paid on time, or are put in dangerous positions, Metro is liable for some of those conditions and could find itself, increasingly, not just reputationally, but in court defending some of these things, making settlements. Nobody wants that. We want nice, supportive, clean job sites where everyone is treated with dignity and everyone gets to go home safe at the end of the night. And Metro be not just an employer of choice, but also a leader in construction across the county. And so that's why the Build It Right bill is so important. And like I said, it's got a very small fiscal note for what it will do. It'll be a small but mighty group. Yep. Yep. Just $300,000 of a very large budget. So if we can get under the couch cushions and find that, then the building trades would be very, very appreciative. And so will every contractor and worker who is tired of having to do business competing against low road contractors who don't give us the best value for our tax money and exploit workers. So we're excited about this, and thank you so much, Council Lady, for your support and the support of your colleagues. I think we're going to get the
Definitely, definitely. And what I love about this conversation, as you three are speaking, it brings me back to the resolution that we passed, the first resolution last council term, and we passed it again this council term about equity and justice and treating each other right. And as listened to the three of you as leaders, and you're representing your members. What I'm hearing is that, it's not just about the dollars. The dollar is very important, and we want to make sure our people are paid well, but we also want to make sure that our people are treated well. We want to make sure that there's equity across board, that if we're increasing this section, we're increasing the other section too. We want to make sure that people that are on the construction side, it's not even just about, bad players. I posted on Facebook what it felt like to go to a memorial service for a young person, a young man that died on our construction site. That should not be happening. And part of it is because people are not doing right. It's because people are not held accountable. It's because every time something happens, the lead contractor blames the subcontractors, and there's no recourse. And we cannot keep touting being this welcoming, equitable, progressive city, and some of our actions, especially to the people that build our city, are regressive. And so I'm very grateful, and I'm very, like I said, see, I told you, I thought I was going to the Oscars, and it is the Oscars. It is the Oscars because it makes you feel good as an employee to learn and to hear that, look, we value you. We want to take care of you. We do it financially, but we do it emotionally. We treat you with respect. We take care of little things. And all of that matters. I want to read a comment by Ms. Cassandra Norton online that says, the 3.5 is not enough, that the cost of living and inflation in Nashville is just too high. She also says that lots of MMPS support staff employees and substitutes make less than $20. So which is, you have a lot of fans online that are saying thank you for representing them and coming up with the things that they want to say, and you're articulating it very well for them. And I do hope that, my colleagues will watch the video or read the blog. And don't worry if they don't, I'm still going to make sure that I say it in the meetings to all of them. Trust me. Everything that we're talking about will be repeated to everybody in every setting that I can find myself, to make sure that I relay that message. So thank you also very much. In the few time that we have, is there anything else that you all haven't talked about? Is there something else you would like to see that a minute to go around and talk about? If there's anything else that burning thing that you wanted to say and you forget to say, or anything that you think Nashville should be doing better, council should be doing better to support the work that you do.
So I go ahead and start. First, I just want to say that, our MNA educators and MNPS educators truly appreciate the work that the council members are doing. One of the things that we want to ask is that, when you're sitting down looking at the budget, just think about the fact that there are a shortage of educators. And one of the things that we're having to do, for example, where we would normally have like 3 educators and having to collapse classes, so now we have 2 educators covering, where it would have been 3, and maximizing their class sizes. So now they're having to do more. And that interferes with the every student know, because it's hard to know every student when you have so many in the classrooms. And then that's increasing the paperwork that they're having to do. And so when they're asking, for a certain percentage, it's because they're having to do more. Whereas before, when we had more educators, then that work was spreaded amongst more educators. So just, keep those things in mind, when you all are coming up, with that number. And as, Tamika's also said that, when we're coming out with certain numbers and we're giving one group more than the other, what do we truly communicate? What is that communicating, from the value of the work that is being done? And then also, our educators want to keep in mind that 2% that they didn't get last year. So just keep those things in mind when you are, when you come up with the final number. Those are some things that they really want our council colleagues to just keep in the front of their minds.
Thank you.
So I don't think I have anything to say other than what I've already said. I will just add, we are all trying our best to make sure that everyone has what they need to survive, right? I was explaining to a group of community members earlier today that we have some members that are homeless. We have some teachers that are homeless. They are sleeping in their cars. They have a $10 membership at a gym where they shower, and they go shower, and then they come to work, and then they go back to their car because they can't afford housing here anymore. We bragged about having the highest paid teachers in the state. I don't see that. I represent some of the lowest paid people in the city. When you think about who's not making $20 an hour, and works not 12 months, they're 10-month employees. And then when you don't count the days that they don't get paid, they're actually 9-month employees, which equals the amount to a part-time salary less than $30,000. Who can survive off of that when the AMI is close to $100,000 in Nashville, right? So I want to make sure that the council is being mindful that we have people in a building who make 6 figures, and we have people in that same building that can't even afford to live in the city that they work in. And I know it's hard work. I get it. And we have to be sure that we are being mindful that everybody is not on the same level. So when you got me showing up asking for 5%, 6%, last year we even got up to talking the number 7, and then we ended up with 6, and we had money in the budget to do that. And I understand that that isn't the same case this year, but making sure that we understand that we have to try our best to get them to a number that where they will feel that they're not losing. Right?
Yeah.
And I pride myself on helping elect some of the best council members that we have. We have a lot of allies. We have a lot of friends. But I understand that tough decisions have to be made. And we also have to continue to show our people that when it gets tough, what our priorities show what really matters to this city, right?
Yes, thanks.
So that is all. Thank you for your time, Zulfat. I really appreciate you inviting me today, and I'll kick it over to my brother.
Yeah, the only thing I would add, just by way of insight into the overall situation, is I've had the pleasure since 2015 of serving on the Civil Service Commission, and one of the things that we used to do as Metro was to have 3-year pay plans, and those 3-year pay plans served a lot of different purposes. It provided a lot more security for employees to understand that their COLA was locked in, that they realized that COLA. It helped employees, budget a little better over the medium term to know that money was coming year over year, and that they could count on it. And then we didn't fund COLA one year, and we broke trust with our employees. And
Yep.
so I think ever since then, we've been in a process. What I've observed is we've been in a process of rebuilding that trust. And I will say, from my perspective, it has been growing. And it's getting back to where we would hope it to be. But I really hope that one day in the future, we're able to revisit a multi-year pay plan, because the other thing it really helps is it doesn't create this annual tension around the budget. It would make the budget process a lot more productive if we didn't have every year have the same, the same conversation, and we were able to have stability. And so just personally, as an observer of it, that's something that, we do in our contracts at Vanderbilt, and it's been really successful, is to try to make there be a well thought out long-term pay strategy for Metro employees that doesn't stick us in a constant tug of war. So that's my only additional insight to that. And I appreciate you, Council Lady, putting this together and giving us the time to share our perspective, because there's a lot of talk out there, and you've always particularly made an effort to create space for us, and I just am really honored to have been invited. Thank you.
Well, thank you. The honor is all mine. Like I said at the top of the hour, I was really looking forward to this. And as a government, there's so many things that we don't do, that we're not doing. And we do rely on others to help us in those areas. And I've always thought the unions have been the one that have been the conscience of all of us, making all of us do what we need to do. So I was looking for a quote. I wanted to end with something about unions. And so I went online as I was talking, and I found a quote by the boss, Bruce Springsteen, about unions and the importance of unions. But then I decided, no, I don't want to use Bruce Springsteen, that I wanted to end with a quote by the real boss, okay? And that's Vonda McDaniel. And Vonda said, so she just made a quote on Facebook that says, "You all are great union leaders, all of them, 100%." And so I think it's a good place to end, because we know when you're talking about union leaders in this country, Ms. Vonda is at the very top, well respected, work very hard for everyone. I'm so appreciative of Ms. Vonda and all of you. Yes, she's the boss, and all of you for the work that you do. You make our city better. You make our city better. You make our people better, health-wise, emotionally. I mean, I cannot even say all of it. So the work that you're doing is much appreciated, and I will make sure that the message is heard loud and clear by my colleagues, and we will do all that we can. But if I don't say anything else as we conclude, please do know that we do appreciate you. We do respect you. We do value everything that you do for our city, and we would not be the city that we are without our employees. So thank you all so much for joining. June 4th, you also have another opportunity to come to council for the public hearing on the budget. Stay tuned. Next week, we'll be talking about public safety. We'll be looking at we'll be looking at community safety. Instead, what's public safety, community safety, what are alternatives and things like that is what we'll be looking at next week. And then after that, we will be talking about housing. It breaks my heart, as Mr. Tamika was talking about, our teachers living in their car. That is the reality. We see it all the time. I mean, it's very sad. We should not have a tale of two cities where there's growth in one part and people suffering on the other. We have to continue to do all that we can to address that. And then following that, we're going to have on the 15th, by then we should have the substitute, and I'll have Chair Porterfield come and discuss. Hopefully she'll be able to put everything that you talk about in the budget. She used to be a union member. She was a teacher. So she understands everything that you're saying. And I know that if there's anything that can be done, I have no doubt that she would do it, supported by many of us. So again, thank you all for spending your Saturday with me. I appreciate this. And I look forward to seeing all of you again. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend and a happy Memorial Day. Thank you to all our warriors for putting their lives on the line, for giving us the freedom that we all enjoy today. So thank you all so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Happy birthday to your niece.
Bye, Bolivar people.
Bolivar people, B-Town in the house.
Look, my mama said they talking about Jackson, West Tennessee. I said, yes, they are.
West Tennessee in the house.
So my mom
Thank
lived
you.
in Jackson for a while.
Well, you're close enough. You're just 30 minutes away. So see,
Yep.
West Tennessee folks.
We used to
That's
roll
right.
through.
That means your mom is great people. Tamika, she's great people.
She alright. She alright.
Thank you, ladies. You have a good one.
You too, bye.
All right, appreciate you all.
Thank you.